Hello, welcome to Ukrainian Connections. My name is Kathy Peroshi-Harris, Katrusia Parashchi-Harris. I welcome you to our show today, and this is a place where we tell you some things about Ukrainian artifacts, Ukrainian history, our stories, some things about the Ukrainian arts, and we tell you information of things that are happening in Thunder Bay, Northwestern Ontario, and Canada, all things Ukrainian. And today we have a special guest with us and some of the musicians that she has been teaching. So I'd like to welcome Lisa Klymenko to our show.
Thank you, Kathy.
So I understand that you are the director of the Lastivka Ensemble Bandura Capella. How do you say it?
The Lastivka Bandura Capella.
Capella. Okay, yes. Say that fast 5 times.
No.
So I would call you a master bandura player and an excellent teacher of bandura. Why or tell me about your story of when you learned how to play bandura.
I first started playing the bandura, it was in 1978. I believe it was the League of Ukrainian Canadians. They got a grant to do a whole bunch of different Ukrainian workshops. So they would do embroidery and pottery and bandura. Those are the ones that I remember going to. And after the end of that workshop, I remember someone approached me and said, if we brought this teacher up from Minneapolis, would you like to continue to play the bandura? And at that time, I wasn't really in love with the bandura yet. I wanted to play the cymbale, but there was nobody offering lessons. So I said yes, and I'm really glad I did. It really changed my life.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. And there were other people that played with you as well. Was there a group that was formed?
There was 5 of us. We were the Lastivka Bandura Ensemble. And if there were other people playing at that time in Thunder Bay, I wasn't aware of anybody else.
Is there anybody else that has been playing bandura locally that you know of? Any other?
Yes, there are. There's some people that I've taught in the past, and not everybody has time to get back into playing the bandura. And then there's some people that had gone to Southern Ontario to learn how to play the bandura too. So yeah, there's a number of people here.
Okay. So the bandura is the instrument that is to your left. We have a little miniature one in behind here. So can you tell me a little bit about the history of the bandura?
Well, the bandura, originally it didn't look like this. It was a much smaller instrument. It was called the kobza. It had probably about 20 strings or so. The basses were fretted. Over time, the basses lost their fretting and more strings were added. And the people that played the kobza were called kobzari. And they were minstrels that they would travel from village to village, and they would sing their different songs. So they'd sing folk songs, they would sing religious songs, they would sing the Duma, which were the epic songs describing the heroic epics of the Kozaki, which were the freedom fighters of Ukraine. Unfortunately, this also led to a lot of persecution because the way that the country stayed in communication with each other. There's no internet or TV and that kind of thing hundreds of years ago. So it was when people like this came through the communities, they got to know what was going on in Ukraine, and they inspired people too with the songs that they sang. So starting in about 1867, Imperial Russia decided that this wasn't going to be a good thing because they wanted to try and get control of the Ukrainians. So they did things like they outlawed performances. They said that only songs could be sung in Ukrainian, not in Ukrainian, they could only be sung, anything in Ukrainian could not be sung at all. And sometimes they would persecute the players too. They'd throw them in jail, they would arrest them. Also, in about 1928, the Soviet Union, they decided they had to get control of this group of people also. So first of all, it started with you had to have a passport to be able to travel. You had to have a license to be able to perform. You also had to have a license to make a bandura. So a lot of these people that were very highly respected now became beggars on the street. Some of them were still arrested. A few years later, again, this still wasn't working for the Soviets. So they kind of upped it up a little bit more, and they would throw them in jail. They would torture them. They would exile them, and they executed a lot of people. after about the Second World War, the restrictions started to ease up a little bit, especially after the death of Stalin, because one really horrible thing he did was in 1934-35, he called a big conference into Kharkiv, which was the capital of Ukraine at the time. And it was supposed to be an ethnographic conference where they were going to collect and record all of the songs that these bandurists did. And when they all arrived there, he executed them. Thankfully, not everybody made it there. So anyways, after World War II, after Stalin passed away, things eased up. Some of the people that were exiled returned to Ukraine, and also they would have bandura courses in some of the music schools, which was good, but there was still a lot of people that didn't feel comfortable coming back to Ukraine. And there is a wonderful DVD that's out. It's called The Music of Survival. It's a documentary about 17 individuals that had played the bandura in Ukraine. So it talks about their history before, during, and after the war. And they came to North America. Thankfully, they all came together. And they taught people how to play the bandura here. They taught their children how to play and their grandchildren. And a lot of people like me went to workshops and learned from people like that. So we're all very grateful for that.
Wow, a real story of resilience, Ukrainian resilience.
Yes.
Yes. So can you tell me a little bit about the actual instrument? What is it made of? How does it work? And is it easy to play?
Well, I think it's easy to play. It all depends, I guess, on your musical experience. I've been playing since 1978, so it's been a few years. I don't know all about how all of the instruments are made. Traditionally, they were carved out of one piece of wood for the back. And then inside there's bracing because there's a lot of pressure from the strings. There's different pieces of wood. You might not be able to see them on the camera, but different pieces of wood that go on an angle for the soundboard. And of course, the strings are attached down here and up there too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And there's different kinds of bandura as well, right? Like
Yes.
an orchestra or...
Well, there's different types. The main classifications is the kobza, which is where this bandura originally evolved from. Mm-hmm. Then there's this kind of a bandura, which is a Kiev or Chernihivska bandura. And then there's also the Kharkiv or Poltavska bandura, which doesn't have any pegs up here. So it allows you to swing your left hand over and your right hand so you can play melody with both hands. Oh. So there are also concert banduras, which one of our students has one of those. There's different types of banduras. I know Simon has a Lvivska bandura. I don't know the history of all those different kinds of banduras. But a lot of the concert banduras, the advantage they have is they have usually mechanisms either up here or at the end. If you want to change keys quickly, you just flip a switch and all of a sudden, right now this bandura is tuned with one sharp. So you flip a switch and maybe you can have two sharps.
Oh, wow.
Come up, yes.
So where did you get your bandura from?
My mom got it from somewhere. I don't know where she got it. I was 12 when she got it. I'm going to guess it was made in the Chernihiv musical instrument factory because they made about 30,000 instruments, or banduras alone. The Trembita musical instrument factory, they also made banduras. They didn't make quite so many. So I'm going to say this one came from the Chernihiv factory.
So you've had it for a long time.
Yes.
And you looked after it very well.
I have.
Yeah.
It's also had a major repair when thankfully we still had somebody in Canada that knew how to repair instruments. We don't have anyone like that anymore, which is a problem for a lot of instruments, yeah.
So I know now that you're teaching several people, there has been a need for more bandura. So I'm asking anybody watching the show, if you happen to have a bandura lying around and you're not using it and don't really have a use for it, if you're interested in donating it to Lisa and the bandura players, many of them newcomers that have come from Ukraine, be greatly appreciated, and the music would be bellowing around for us. So I know we have a surprise for the rest of the show where we're going to bring your banduriste. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Yes, so the bandura players that have been teaching under Lisa onto the show.
Perfect.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to Ukrainian Connections. I have with us Thunder Bay's Lastivka Bandura Capella, and I'd like to welcome our performers today. And as we are waiting to hear them play, I have a few questions first so we can learn a little bit about each of you. If you could tell us your name and where you're from, how long you've been playing the bandura, and how often you practice.
My name is Hanusha Tkachuk. I'm a first-generation Canadian. I was born here in Thunder Bay when it was called Port Arthur. And I first learned Bandura about 30 years ago, but didn't keep up with it. I had kids, I was busy, so I left it and then picked it up again about 5 years ago. And how much I practice is a state secret.
Thank you, Hanusha. Actually, Lisa, one thing we did interview you already, but we didn't ask how often you practice.
I don't practice as often as I would like to, but I do practice when we have the choir going. So that's about a 3-hour practice on one night. And Saturdays I like to practice for 2 hours if I can, and Wednesdays I get about an hour in. And I would like to practice more, but you know, there's life, so I understand. But you can't say you don't practice at all. That's not an appropriate answer.
She's giving you that. Okay, your name and where you're from?
My name is Ilona. I'm from Ukraine. I came here from Ivano-Frankivsk. And I have played Bandura for 6 years old. And I practice for 2-3 times per week.
Mm-hmm. Good.
My name is Mira. I was practicing from September.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And do you practice at home every week?
Yep, almost every day.
Every day. Wow, wonderful. Okay.
Hello, my name is Bogdan. I'm from Kropivnitsky, Ukraine. Previously it was Kirovograd. I started also as my sister at September. It's 10 months already, approximately. And how often do I practice? Usually at Lisa's lessons only, so yeah.
So we need to understand that Bogdan is a student and working, and he's working on his master's, so he's a pretty busy guy. Mm-hmm.
My name is Victoria. I was born in Kyiv region. I came from Ukraine, and I've been learning how to play Bandura. It's about 1.5 years right now, I would say. Yeah, and how often I'm practicing. I'm gonna skip this question because I'm too embarrassed.
My name is Natalia Hibbert. I'm a first-generation Canadian. I was introduced to the Bandura many decades ago at a one-day workshop, and then this lovely Bandura sat as a decoration until 1.5 years ago when I started taking lessons with Victoria. And how often do I practice? As time permits, because there's so many things going on in retirement that practicing fits in where it fits in.
Okay, so we have a variety of answers to that. You can hang on to the microphone there, and we'll come back with the next question in this direction here. So I have a few questions to ask you. What is your reason to play the Bandura? So why do you play the Bandura? And what is your favorite part about playing the Bandura? And it might be the same answer.
This was a gift from my family in Ukraine, and I wanted to learn how to play it for years and years and didn't know how I was going to do that until I learned that Lisa was giving lessons. And so to be able to play the national instrument of Ukraine has been something I've wanted to do, and now I'm even as a retired person, I'm able to do it. And my favorite part is just learning, that lifelong learning and keeping the hands moving.
That's wonderful, yes. So the Bandura is the national instrument of Ukraine, which I don't think we mentioned earlier, but it's very recognized across Ukraine and many other countries around the world that it is Ukraine's national instrument, and that's where you will find this instrument. So thank you for sharing that.
I would say that for me, playing Bandura, it's just a way to keep our traditions going, and it's just a way to express and like to actually sharing this knowledge with other people. And for me, the best part of playing the Bandura is to tell a history behind each of the song, because our history are really rich, and I think each person should know the past so we can build our future. And for me, this is the most lovely part of playing Bandura, because you can tell a story through music and songs.
Very beautiful. Thank you.
I don't know if I can tell this, but the reason why I play Bandura because I forced to from Lisa. She's keeping me in her basement and like play Bandura, Bogdan. Okay. If say truth, I really like to play music instruments. Previously I played guitar, piano, and bayan. So Bandura is like a new step for me. I really like it. I really enjoy it. And I also enjoy like a little competition with my sister because she always tries to like, yeah, she always tries to tell me that I'm not good enough.
So before you hand that, take the microphone back there. So just to explain to the audience that you were with your sister when Lisa was trying to get you to play Bandura, right? Okay. And also, can you explain what a bayan is? Because there's some people here that don't know what a bayan is.
Oh yeah, so bayan, it's something like accordion. Maybe you heard about it more than bayan, but except of accordion, accordion has like piano buttons. Bayan has like just small little buttons. It's also like wind instrument because it has, I don't know.
Bellows.
Yeah.
It has
That's it.
bells. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The reason I like to play bandura because I already played a recorder and I have talent to music. And so I want to learn some more and more to get better at this. What was the second question?
That you answered both questions. That's excellent.
okay.
Thank you, Mira.
So I like to play Bandura because for me it means to support the Ukrainian now. And I love to play instruments. I love to play guitar and piano also. And I love Ukrainian traditions, so that's why.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So I learned to help Lisa with accompaniment to a Ukrainian folk group that we were part of, Żurawli, back in 2019. But now the motivation is also to preserve Ukrainian culture, especially because Russia is trying so hard to suppress it. So it's an act of political protest.
Thank you. And it's also an act of resilience as well, that we will keep our culture going and keep it strong. So thank you very much for sharing that. So we're going to be right back with some music coming out of these instruments. And so stay tuned. Ukrainian Connections. Hi, welcome back to Ukrainian Connections. And now we have Thunder Bay's Lastivka Bandura Capella to perform for us. Lisa, what do we have on first?
The first song we're going to play is called Zhelbia Banduru, and Hanusha and Alona and I are going to play that for you.
Thank you.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. That was beautiful. What do we have next for our audience?
Next up, Anusha and I are going to play Kievsky Waltz.
Thank you very much. That was beautiful. Now we are going to hear from all of our banduriste. And Lisa, if you can tell us what are the pieces you're going to play.
The first song we're going to play is Tanok, then Koloskova, and then Cuckoo. 1 and 2 and.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much, everybody, for performing for us today. And Lisa, thank you so much for taking on these students and for beautifully teaching them. And to all of you for committing yourself to learning the bandura and promoting Ukrainian culture through the art of music and through playing our national Ukrainian instrument. If you'd like to see more of the Lastivka Bandura Capella, please be sure to check at the end of the show. We'll list how to get a hold of us or how to get a hold of them through the Facebook page, as well as if you have a bandura hanging around and you're willing to donate it to future students. And if you'd like to book the capella for an event, and also watch on the Facebook page where they may be promoting events that they're performing at, often for fundraisers for Ukraine, but they also do perform at weddings and other social events as well. So thank you so much for sharing your talents with us today, and again for promoting our culture and sharing the resiliency of Ukrainians. And with that, we are praying and dedicating our playing and our show today to all of Ukraine for victory, for peace. Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава!